One of my personal favorites, Javon Solomon. Let's get Javon stuff up here. Javon Solomon. All right. So he from I know he's been at Troy all the time, but PFF didn't have the snaps on it. So his last year's snaps was 592, and he led the college football with 18 sacks this year. His RAS score was 721. Size was, it got red in size. He's 6 foot. It says 6 foot, 246. Bench press 23, which was okay. His vert was 37, which was good. His broad was 911, which was good. 40-yard dash 472 was good, and everything else was mediocre. Led the NCAA with 18 sacks. And what did you see in lift film that you could get out of Javon Solomon?
Well, first you got to start off with the build. You know, that's a unique build for an edge rusher. You know, almost 6'1", 246, but he got the long arms. He kind of built like that Pokemon that's just a rock, and he got the long arms. That's what he looks like. But you know, this dude plays with his hair on fire. You know, you can watch it, and you can see Troy really move him around to free him up. You know, there's times where you see this dude, you know, little dude, you know, lining up at 3-tech, and you're like, what the hell? But it's working. Yep. You know, he uses his hands and his physicality and his quickness to just get instantaneous pressure. And, you know, he has the production. You know, all you got to do is, for the stat nerds out there, 32 sacks over his career, you know, at that size. And, you know, you could say, oh, the level of competition, but, you know, when you look at the physical traits and the way that he's able to just play with that relentlessness, I love it. And I'm partial to edge rushers who are shorter, you know, like dudes like, you know, obviously James Harrison is the one, but then there are other dudes like, you know, Ewan Price from a couple years ago at a Pitt, who was another small guy, kind of the same build, but those guys have that natural leverage. And I wish the NFL would go kind of like the way that is going with quarterbacks, where you see those smaller, like you see quarterbacks now, like the smaller guys, you don't really hear that talking that much anymore.
Right.
And I wish it could kind of go that way with smaller edge rushers, because they always get picked in like the 6th round, 5th round, later round picks, and they don't really get a shot. And I think a guy like Javon Solomon, you know, I think he's a dude who he can be productive in the NFL. Not going to be a 10-sack guy, I don't believe, but I think he's a dude that could definitely contribute and be a rotational piece, especially on passing downs.
Right. Now, I threw him up here because this is a homer pick for me. I actually work at the school Javon attended. Now, I didn't coach Javon. Javon's senior year was the year I came to the school. I coached against him. So, yes, he gave me problems for 3 years. I coached at the actual rivals here. The school I worked at, I coached at the rival school across town. So he gave me nightmares for 3 years. Luckily, his junior year, we beat them on a Hail Mary, an actual Hail Mary, last play of the game. And then, you know, there was issues and people said we didn't catch the ball or whatnot. So they all vowed to blow us out the next year, because they had probably about 18 guys that signed D1 scholarships on that team. And they kicked our ass the next year. And so but I threw Javon up here because of that. But yeah, he led the and actually Jeff Zarebrick actually mocked Javon to us on the Athletic. He said he had to do a mock draft, and he actually mocked Javon to us, and I think like the 4th round or whatever. But I had 18 sacks in 2023. He was used as a 4-eye defensive end, but I think his best position, if he stand up as a defensive end or outside linebacker. Surprisingly strong for his size. You'll see him toss tackles from time to time during games. Plays well with his hands, consistently working on moves. Even if the first move doesn't work, you'll see a 2nd and 3rd move ready to fire off. A powerful lower body to help explode through blocks. He's tough to reach unless the offensive tackle is extremely gifted because of that speed. Like if he realizes that you're trying to reach block him, he get on the outside real quick and make you turn it back in. He's not ideal size for an edge, and I got longer arm tackles will give him problems. But he has a high motor. He's always running plays down. And he's a typical, like an underachiever, undersized guy that play with that chip on his shoulder. That's gonna prove to you that he belongs. And I like even when in high school, like with all that talent they had, my game plan was to find this son gun and make sure we accounted for him. And that didn't change when he went to Troy. He all his years was at Troy, and he turned out to be a hell of a player, man. Hell of a player. And I ain't just saying that because I know him and this is the homer person I want to talk about. I mean, 18 sacks. It's a lot, man. 32 in 3 years. Production, numbers don't lie. Numbers don't lie. He up there with who went to Troy? It was not DeMarcus Lawrence. What was the cowboy that went to Troy?
I know what you're talking about.
Shoot. One of the cowboy
Milk
greats went to Troy.
Milk Dudhead.
I can't think
went
his
to
name.
Denver.
Mm-hmm. I don't think it was DeMarcus Lawrence. It might have been DeMarcus Lawrence. One of them cowboy defensive ends went to Troy, and he's up there with him as far as sacks. But that's Javon Solomon.